Hey everybody, it's Matt again, and I have an awesome lesson for you today. Think about the last time that you talked to one of your potential customers, and it seems like no matter what you said to them, they just were not responsive. They just weren't really engaged in the conversation, and they kind of just put you off. Now, I know for a lot of people it happens often. I know for me in my past, it just happened a lot, and I really didn't know what to do. I went to bookstores and tried to look up, kind of sales books and try to figure out what to do. I talked to my sales manager at the time, and really any way that I thought of, trying to get past this, I couldn't find anything on it. Well, the answer and your solution doesn't lie in a sales training book, and it's not going to be solved by your sales manager. The root of the problem is really simple. And it's the idea of preconceived notions. Now look, every single person you talk to, they're not going to be responsive to you. Some people are just having a bad day. Their wife or husband was yelling at them, they're having financial problems, their kid's sick. It could be any number of things. We all have our fair share of drama, either in our life or trying to get into our life. But in the end, when somebody comes up to us and they see an insurance salesman, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to have a preconceived notion about you. So let's think about some of the preconceived notions that people might have of you. Number one is it's a product that we don't need. Nobody really buys insurance saying, I can't wait to use it. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't do that. You buy it because you might need it and you don't like the alternative, but you're not buying it. It's not like a cheeseburger where you're buying it and you cannot wait to consume it. Well, the second preconception that they have is that realistically, you're probably not any different than the hundreds or thousands of people doing the same thing. In fact, that's the third preconception, is that they can pretty much summon somebody that does what you do, maybe even working for your same company, at their beck and call, on a whim, at a moment's notice, and they're not going to lose anything. And with that kind of points us to our fourth preconception, is that there's no special value when it comes to you. You're no different than anybody else. I can call the guy on my left or the guy on my right, and in the end, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to be losing anything one way or another. And these preconceived notions, what happens is it shuts off people's mind to what's really going on. They kind of become zombies in a sense. And you're talking to them, and it seems like you're talking to somebody who's living, but realistically, it kind of seems like you're talking to a zombie. It's just really not going anywhere. And as long as that person is in their zombie land, and while they're on autopilot, you will not make a sale to them. Now, let me repeat that to you. While they're in that phase, you will not close a sale. It just will not happen. You don't have somebody who's engaged in the conversation, who knows what's going on, and who really is invested in the kind of interchange that you're having. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, okay, well, that's not exactly the most motivating thing in the world. But the key thing is it's important to recognize that. You can't fight your way through it, you can't push your way through it, and you can't motivate your way through it. And you can't make them buy something when they're in this state. It just will not happen. Now, I'm going to get to the solution of that in a little bit. But one thing that we need to address, first of all, before we can even get there, again, we're going to talk about the idea of preconceived notions, is that we have preconceived notions. We look at people by how they're dressed, how well they're dressed, their grooming standards, their height. Are they bald? Do they have hair? Do they have a wart on their face? Are they attractive? Realistically, we look and assume a lot from the people that we talk to. Now, it's not inherently wrong to do so. We have to make shortcuts to really make decisions to use our time wisely. But at the same time, we have to understand that these preconceived notions from our target market, from our potential customers, they're not unique to them. We're no different than them. But we have to look at our preconceived notions. And a lot of times these preconceived notions are going to shut us down as well. We're not going to give our best. We're not going to be able to absorb, not going to be able to absorb all the things that our subconscious mind notices about somebody and to really be engaged in the conversation as well. And what happens is you end up having one zombie speaking to another zombie, and we wonder why no business gets done. So what do you do? Well, it's not beyond the horror movie that, zombies and zombies. You have to look at these preconceived notions, and more than anything, in order for there to be a breakthrough, one of the parties has to have what I call reconceived notions. And there's a big difference there. It's one thing to have preconceived notions, but in order to get past them, you have to identify them, identify that they're there, and be willing to shelve them. Be willing to question everything that's behind them. And, I've told this story before, but I'll share it again. One of the greatest lessons that I learn, and I repeatedly learn this all the time, is I learn most when I take a step back and I just ask a basic question that was an assumption 10 seconds earlier. And it started about 10 years ago when I was in the grocery store and I saw organic milk. And I thought to myself, well, what's the difference between organic milk and regular milk? And there wasn't really smartphones back then. So I went home, Googled it, and my mind was blown. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, look at all this garbage they put in regular milk that they don't put in organic milk. And that really challenged me and changed the way I look at things. So when you look at people and you're just immediately you look at them as, somebody who is a potential sale for you, you have all these preconceived notions. And the reason you do is because you're looking at them as a tool for your gain. Let me repeat that. You're looking at them as a tool for your gain. And as long as your self-interest comes first, people will notice that. And what it's going to do is it's going to trigger them to go into this autopilot or this zombie mode that we talked about. And as such, you'll never make the sale. There's no objection you'll ever overcome, and you're going to be wasting your time. So the first thing that you need to do, obviously, is you need to take the focus off of yourself and your goals. And I know that's hard because we have quotas and bosses and housing payments to make. But as long as you do that, you're not getting anywhere. But once you take the focus off of yourself and place it on the other person, now you're in a position where your mind, your subconscious mind is actually looking for stimuli. And it's going to start noticing small things about the way people act, the word choice, the tone of voice, a number of different things. And it's going to clue you in on what's going on. And the reason this is important is you need to get them off that autopilot. But if you're sitting here thinking about your own sale, what you're going to say, how you overcome this objection, and you're kind of in your own world that they're not even in, you're never going to make the sale. And that's one of the big reasons why overcoming objections is not something, it's not natural to the process, and it's not helpful in getting the sale because you're so focused on this script that's going back and forth that you're missing the person in front of you. And once you sit here and you can listen, you'll identify something about that person and you actually start to engage them as a person, what happens is you take them off of autopilot too, and you can actually have an honest conversation. But before you can get there, you have to understand, you have to strip out these preconceived notions and you have to develop reconceived notions. And the only way you can do that is by having an open mind where you're ready for stimuli, where they can tell you everything that you want to know about them. Their confidence level, their focus, anything. But you're going to have this honest conversation. And at that point, you can reprogram your mind with these reconceived notions. So the next time you're out, I want you to just pay attention and first couple people you talk to, watch them. They're so used to dealing with salespeople and so used to people with asking for their time or their money or their attention that they've just kind of shut off. And it's not your fault, but you're just the next person in line in their day. But the minute you can actually get them off of that, watch how easy it is to reprogram their mind to actually want to engage with you, that they'll give honest answers. And more than likely, I'm not saying you will get the sale, but boy, you're going to have somebody completely open to doing business with you. I'll talk to you guys soon, and I cannot wait to share the next lesson with you.